just a quick word of how we got started 10 years ago. We sort of saw the future that we're talking about today, specifically around college readiness and career readiness and life readiness. And in the US, only 24% of students leave our K-12 system even eligible to apply to a four-year college or university. And of those that go, only 28% earn a four-year degree. And as we look at the competitive world that we're engaged in, if students aren't able to operate and exist in that higher level of education, we certainly will not remain competitive. And so we launched Summit 10 years ago to address this problem. And we said, we need to take every student, regardless of prior preparation and background, and prepare them not only for admissions to, but success in college, career, and life. And we've done that, and one of the reasons we are ranked by Newsweek and others as transformative, changing the trajectory of students' lives is 100% of our students leave our schools not only eligible, but exceeding eligibility into college, accepted to, and doing quite well. So double that national average of earning four-year degrees. So how have we gone about doing this? And really what we've done is look to other industries to think about how we can transform what we're doing in education. And so we start with design thinking and a user-based approach. And we've actually leveraged our location and proximity to Google and others to reimagine the way schools can look and should look. Every single person in our organization, student, teacher, administrator, is trained in design thinking and user-based design approaches. It's a standard part of what we do, and we subscribe to a lean model of continuous improvement. So rapidly iterating, engaged in a build, measure, learn cycle. Jose talked about the amount of data. Even my little schools create this incredible amount of data, and it drives everything we do. We do focus groups with our students on a weekly basis. We do surveying of them. We do collection of data of how they're performing, and these data packets literally drive what teachers are doing. So the work of teachers is sitting down around really thoughtfully gathered feedback from their students in multiple ways, their performance data as well as their verbal information they're giving us, and we're constantly iterating based on the feedback that we're giving. And so what that actually looks like now in our schools today, not quite as lovely and seamless as the Microsoft video that you showed, but essentially the same concepts, where we've taken the industrial model and really turned it upside down and said students should be in the center of the learning experience, and students need to drive and own their own learning. And so if you think about the education that probably most of us had, unless you're quite unique, you were told when to show up to school and where to go, what to do and where to sit, when to speak and when to be quiet, and it's mostly be quiet, it's mostly listen, when to take an exam and when you knew something and when you didn't know something, and it was all directed by adults. And so in our schools, we've literally broken down the walls. We have very few walls in our schools, and all of our furniture is on wheels because it gets rolled around all the time and changed. Because they're constantly reconfiguring how, and there's a whiteboard on the back of every piece of furniture, reconfiguring how it looks. And kids really drive their own learning. It's a one-to-one environment, so they all have their laptops and their tools just the way that we would. And they have their own personalized learning plan or dashboard, which is literally a dynamic tool. And Jose spoke about actionable data, and this is really the key. In our current system, the data students receive and parents receive is not actionable. It's always about what you've done, and there's nothing you can do about it going forward. And so every piece of data we provide is actionable data. The things that students can look at and know what to do next in order to change their trajectory. And so with that personalized learning plan, students really direct and drive their own education. They know where they want to go. They know what it takes to get there, and they have no constraints on their learning. We are very focused on ensuring that time, place, and person never constrain learning. And so just to give you some examples of what this looks like, students access the content knowledge that we were talking about, not in their classroom with their teacher anymore. That is a waste of time. They access that in their own personalized learning time, which is sometimes on our sites and sometimes at home or sometimes at the library or even at McDonald's where they have Wi-Fi. And they access that via playlists that we have curated, open educational resources on the best that we can find in the world where kids really have choice about how they learn. And we give them online assessments so they can do a diagnostic to know what they know or don't know. And they never again have to be sitting in a classroom learning something that they already know or learning something that they're not quite ready for because they haven't mastered those atomic concepts that come before it. So it's really where they need to be. And they do that by their own choice in the ways that work for them, and show what they know when they're ready to show it and when they have indeed learned it, and show their competency. And so what that leaves time for with their teachers is really the high value activities. Our teachers are never standing up in front of a classroom and lecturing. Our teachers are coaches and facilitators of learning. And so what they're doing is creating really rich, engaging experiences for students, whether it be Socratic seminars and dialogues, or hands-on laboratory experiences, or really deep dives into solving problems. And the classroom experience is a very rich environment that's often interdisciplinary. Most often you'll see our teachers working across subject lines on helping students move towards performance tasks. So places where they're going to write or speak or present or model these higher order thinking skills and what we call the cognitive skills. Our teachers are also coaches on what we call the habits of success. And so most people would argue that there's a lot of work now around perseverance and grit and habits of mind, and we are working to bring all of that into a place where you don't either have it or not, but where you can actually teach it and facilitate it and support it. And so our teachers serve as mentors. Every single student has a mentor who they meet with regularly every single week in a one-to-one experience. The student drives that meeting where they talk about the goals they've set for themselves and the plan they're using and how they're going to show what they know, and really controls that with the input and the coaching and encouragement of the adult, who then has access to all the data and information and can support them and track them and make sure that they're moving forward at the pace at which they need to move forward to. And then finally, a fourth key element, when you sort of free the school day of the focus on content and the low value activities, our students spend 8 weeks of the year in the world, in what we call expeditions or experiences, where they're literally engaged in internships or pursuing passions and interests, whether it be in the arts or in the sciences, off campus, out in the real world with real mentors, bringing all of those skills to bear. Sounds like a good place to start.